We haven't touched on this whole idea of whether you have illustrations in novels, which of course used to be much more fashionable than it is now, so that someone like, say, Shirley Hughes learnt her craft doing black and white drawings in books for older children. You know, 20 years ago, Harry Potter would have had illustrations when it came out. Yes, what do you think? Do you think that's something that is up to publishers to put pictures back into books for older children, into novels?
Yes, presumably it's an economical decision, but obviously the people you've mentioned do have illustrators, and I think that's generally handled by the publisher. I think some of the best combinations are where people know each other, where people can discuss the text and the pictures together and change. Well, maybe you wouldn't expect a novelist to change the text because of the illustrator, but certainly in terms of picture books, I think that, as I think you were saying, Marcia, the best picture books are often either done by the same person or by two people who know each other quite well and work together.
But it can work, like your Sonia Hartnett example, of having
yes.
somebody else.
I presume, I don't know because, you know, I do my own books, but I presume that publishers, you know, they're brilliant. They put things together, and that's what makes a good publisher, when they put the right people together. Like Jacqueline Wilson and Nick Sharratt, you can't think of Tracy Beaker without thinking of that image, can you? And they've worked together for a long time, and I presume, well, I've seen them talking, and they obviously have a very close relationship.
It's often the case that you hear book by author. It's just the shorthand that publishers and publicity people in the press does. You know, it's Julia Donaldson's Gruffalo. And I know, I've been there myself, and it sort of makes your teeth just grind a bit. It's such a team effort. It is so symbiotic. Let's have Axel Scheffler's Gruffalo written by Julia Donaldson. So why, you know, let's have illustrators and get them a writer. I'd go that far. I mean, all this sort of stuff, we're being sort of going, no, well, it could be better. Let's pick up. The artist is, everything we've shown you is so important, and it would be so utterly, utterly different without the art there is. Can you imagine the stick man without Axel's stick? It wouldn't be. And we kind of take it for granted and giggle about it. But I think sometimes we've got to push the artist up the food chain a bit. Do bookshops classify picture books by the author or by the illustrator? I mean, that's what you want is all the Quentin Blakes together, whoever's illustrated, all your books together. I mean, that's the critical question, really, which takes priority.
I suppose it depends how well known the illustrator is. But I think generally you'd find a picture book put in under the name of the author, I think.
How would you go about maybe justifying like what you do?
In other countries, in Australia, children's books are highly regarded. In Europe, they're highly regarded. In America, in England, I don't understand. For some reason, you know, you say, oh, you go to a party, what do you do? I'm a writer. I'm a children's book writer. Oh, are you ever going to write a proper book? And we've all been there. And illustration is even, oh, you say you're so lucky, you know, you do it for love. You don't want to get paid.
But you justify yourself when you go into schools.
Yes.
Yeah,
and you're with the children, and you see their reaction to your books.
Exactly.
And that's your justification.
A children's illustrator is a long way down the hierarchy, and I think that's a problem. There are two issues. One is that it's not considered art, and the other, you know, illustration is the poor relation of art. And also, it's for children, so it isn't a proper book. And we all know that the difference between a good book and a bad book is much greater than the difference between an adult book and a children's book. I mean, I think it was C.S. Lewis who said there are good books which are only for adults because they presuppose certain kinds of experience that only adults have, but there are no good books that are only for children.